Hello and welcome to Viewpoint. I'm Ian Beaumont, back doing another Viewpoint, hopefully now doing weekly Viewpoints. So we will do this alongside WrestlePod. If you want to keep up with everything I am doing, then keep an eye on my Patreon, patreon.com/Ian Beaumont Live and Direct. Let's get to what we're talking about today, which is Russia. This automatically means I'm going to be blocked in Russia. I don't care. Because what I'm going to say needs to be said. Russia has done some weird stuff over the years, even as far back as in the midst of the Cold War. But right now, this whole situation involving this, what can I say? This spy poisoning and poisoning of the spy and his daughter. It's gotten pretty intense, hasn't it? It's gotten Cold War levels of intense. Kind of appropriate for a snowy day like today. Apparently, Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson said that Russia has been stockpiling the nerve agent used in the attack on an ex-spy and his daughter for a decade. He also dismissed a suggestion by Russia's EU ambassador that the agent may have come from a UK laboratory. Vladimir Chizov said the Porton Down lab in Wiltshire may have been the source of the substance. Well, hardly likely there. The spy, Sergei Skripal, and his daughter Yulia remain critically ill in hospital after being exposed to the substance, whatever it is, in Salisbury. They were found slumped on a park bench there on the 4th of March. Prime Minister Theresa May has said Russia is culpable for the attack. Now, experts from the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons will arrive in the UK on Monday to test samples of the chemicals. The Foreign Office say the results are expected to take a minimum of 2 weeks. Now, why is that important? Well, the Organization of the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons is an intergovernmental organization and the implementing body for the Chemical Weapons Convention. Oh yes, it is very important. It came into being on the 29th of April 1997. It has 192 member states, and one of those member states is Russia. So, fair enough. They signed up to it pretty much right at the get-go. They signed up to it on the 13th of January 1993. It came into force in December of 1997, just after the organization itself came into being, and they have a permanent representative there, whose name is Mr. Alexander Vasilievich Shulgin. That doesn't say a lot. What I do note is that there was a release from the organization not about less than 6 months ago. And it says this: in the margins of the 86th session of the Executive Council of the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, a ceremony to mark the completion of the destruction of the Russian Federation's chemical weapons took place today at the residence of Ambassador Alexander Shulgin, the permanent representative of the Russian Federation to the OPCW. The permanent representatives and delegates from state parties to the Chemical Weapons Convention and OPCW Technical Secretariat staff attended the ceremony. Okay. So, apparently, Russia has no chemical weapons, but yet we have this attack on a Russian spy, which is purportedly Novichok, a group of military-grade nerve agents that were developed by the Soviet Union. Now, obviously, these things do not add up. 1 plus 1 does not equal 3 here. Someone, somewhere, is not telling us the whole truth. And I have to admit, my thoughts lie very much in the fact that maybe Russia isn't telling us the whole truth. Now, of course, RT being basically the official spokesman for Vladimir Putin, much like Fox News is the official spokesman for Donald Trump, RT are basically completely burying any sense that Russia is any way involved in this. But you got RT providing the Russian viewpoint, you got the BBC providing the British viewpoint. Who do you trust? My answer is neither of them. In these sort of situations, the truth is somewhere in between what the BBC is telling us and what RT is telling us. I'm not saying both are lying. I am saying that somewhere in between that line and that line is the truth. And frankly, that's what we should be looking for, is where that thing of the truth really is. Now, this is all happening around the same time that we have an election in Russia for the presidency. Let me see, some Cold War rhetoric being done by Vladimir Putin and his like in the run-up to a presidential election. Gosh, I wonder who that could benefit. Obviously, Putin. So, this, of course, is he has been in the six-year term. That was increased from 4 during the administration of his predecessor, Dmitry Medvedev, who is currently Putin's prime minister. Yes. See, this is the funny thing. If you go back and look at the history of Russia, since the Soviet Union collapsed, you'll find there have only been 3 people who have been its president. The first was Boris Yeltsin, who basically was president from July the 10th, 1991, until the end of the century, December 31st, 1999, when he resigned from office. Vladimir Putin became acting president at that time, and then he was properly elected to the role started in 2000, on May the 7th, 2000, and he held 2 terms, 2 4-year terms as they were at the time, as president. He had previously been prime minister. In the history of Russia since Yeltsin, you've had a number of prime ministers, some of whom have not served for very long at all. Vladimir Putin didn't even serve a full year. He only served 9 months, or well, less than that, about 8 months, really, as prime minister. before becoming president. And really only a few months before becoming acting president. So yeah, he didn't last very long. His first time around, he had 3 different prime ministers during his first term. Then he became... This is where things get really suspicious as far as I'm concerned. He became prime minister under Dmitry Medvedev when he became president. So who was pulling whose strings there? And now Medvedev is prime minister and has been for 6 years under Putin. Really weird. But yes, we have a presidential election today. There are a number of candidates. There are 8 candidates who are basically set. I mean, we expect Vladimir Putin to win. No question about this. We expect him to obtain pretty much an absolute majority in the first round. It's unlikely that he wouldn't, because most of his opponents probably have gotten little to no airtime on Russian television. That much I feel pretty safe in saying. So when are we going to find out? That's the question. Well, it will be later tonight. We will start finding out exactly when this whole shebang is going to go down. You can fully expect that the coverage will be shown on RT. I mean, that is pretty much... I mean, as I'm recording this right now, the preliminary results broadcast there begins in about a couple of hours, about 6 o'clock our UK time. So, yeah, I basically think we will see quite a... I think we will see a very clear result very quickly. So, yeah. Probably by the time you're watching this, we'll know the result. But yeah, that's what I'm expecting. And I'm not expecting things to change at all. Sad to say. That's Viewpoint. I'm Ian Beaumont. Thanks for watching. Till next time, stay sharp, stay tuned.